Hello, cadets. Good morning. We already seen the short compositions, which has the weightage of 3 marks each. So there are going to be two short compositions and two long compositions. So now let us revise the long compositions and we'll discuss about article writing today. So we are going to revise article writing. Writing an article is an art, but how well you write, that is very important. So what are expected when you write an article? The dictionary defines an article as a piece of writing about a particular subject in a newspaper or magazine. So it's an article which is published on a particular topic. An article is an expression of one's thought on an issue or a subject, logically and coherently written in meaningful paragraphs. So the article, whichever you are writing, or article that appears in the newspaper is written in paragraphs, and each paragraph consists of an idea. So when you change your idea, you go to another paragraph. Points to remember: give a title that catches the attention of the reader. So in the case of article, what is required is title. Begin with a striking opening sentence which addresses the readers and get them interested in the topic. So the big opening sentence has to be quite attractive. It has to attract the reader's attention. Present a strong argument for your idea, supporting it with evidences or elaboration. ತೊಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. Use linking devices. However, therefore, although, even though, in order to make the composition appear a whole. So you can use linking devices. Introduce a new point at the beginning of each paragraph that follows to strengthen your ideas. Develop your ideas as much as you can to make them interesting and substantial. And when you want to conclude, conclude with your strongest point. Remember that you have to use passive voice, there has to be humor, emotive language, rhetorical questions to provide a special effect. So now let us see the format. So what is required here? First thing, remember the title. It has to be eye-catching, illustrating the central themes. So title is very important. Then next is writer's day, byline. So this name you can write under the title towards the right from the center. So way to write that, you can write in the right hand corner. So first you write the title, then you write the byline, that is writer's name. Then you can have three paragraphs. Introductory paragraph, a comprehensive introduction touching upon on the plus and minus of the topic. Establish the context. So this is the opening sentence which attracts the attention of the reader. Put the topic in perspective, draw reader's attention, specify and delimit your topic, put a rhetoric question or give some startling facts. So you can begin with all that. You can provide statistics or quotation. Then content. Spell out the various aspects to the topic merits, demerits. So exposition of the topic, causes, consequences, effects, advantages, disadvantages. And at the end you wind up, conclude, give your opinions, comments, criticism, recommendations, call for. And then at the end when you can have conclusion. Conclude with a hope, a warning, an appeal, or a call for the action. I hope you understood this. Then how the split up of marks now it is for How many marks? It is for 5 marks this year. Okay, so it is for 5 marks. Now let us see the sample article. Your Vikram or Vinita of Freelan's writer, much concerned about the discriminatory treatment of women in the Indian society. Write an article in 150 to 200 words, throwing light on this problem and giving suggestions for putting an end to it. So earlier this question was for 10 marks, but this year it is for 5 marks. So both the long compositions are for 5 marks. Now at first what should be there? They should be title. So here what is the title? Description of discrimination of women. And then we have the writer's name. What is his name? Vikrant. So you see here where it is written. So the title and the writer's name is very important. Then we can see here how many paragraphs are there? There are 3 paragraphs. How these paragraphs have been separated? There's a line left in between the paragraphs. And remember that the modern style is you have to leave one line in between the paragraphs. This is how it is to be understood. There's no need of margin. If you leave margin, no problem. If you don't leave margin also, no problem. But you have to keep in mind that in between the paragraphs, you have to leave one line. It is a pity that in a country where women are said to be worshipped, there is a widespread discrimination of them even before they are born, and injustice meted out to them in such a male chauvinistic world in very many degrees. Certain brutal practices, like the female feticide, throw light on our attitude. The girl child is considered to be a liability and doesn't enjoy the privileges of a boy. She is denied the advantage of proper education. The dowry system haunts parents, and the harassment she is subjected to at the in-laws often force her to commit suicide. Even in enlightened homes, woman has to live her life under surveillance, if not in strict purdah. Working women are physically and verbally abused, denied opportunities of growth, and subjected to discrimination. The social evils like dowry system, honor killing, human trafficking, societal dogmas, etc., take great toll on women, be it daughter, mother, sister, wife, grandmother. So the concluding paragraph. See here, the second paragraph is quite long. You can have these body paragraphs, you can have 2 paragraphs or you can have 3 paragraphs. Totally you can have 5 paragraphs. And the last paragraph will be concluding paragraph. And how do we differentiate these paragraphs? You have to leave a line between the paragraphs. If you don't leave the margin, that is also okay, no problem. If you leave the margin also, acceptable. But remember that in between the paragraphs, one line has to be left. Education and economic independence only can empower women to fight for their rights. It is also the responsibility of the educated society to work for the cause of women. Proper lawmaking and execution, spreading awareness, exemplary punishment for the predators, etc., surely will bring positive changes. Let she not be worshipped, but let her live a wholesome life. Let us live, let her live, and let us help her live for a better developed society. So, what is required in the case of article? Remember, the title is very important. Very apt, suitable title you look for. Okay? And write that title. And then after that, who is writing? Writer's name is also very important because it also carries marks. And then when you are writing an article, remember that the first paragraph will be introductory paragraph. Next paragraph, you have to elaborate that whatever you are speaking on. So that is what you will see here. So it very striking statement, the first one. It is a pity that in a country where women are to be worshipped, there's a widespread discrimination. Very striking sentence. So begin with a very striking sentence. Then after that, the next paragraph, it will be elaboration of that idea, what you have spoken there in the opening paragraph or in the opening statement. Then after that, the last paragraph, you can see here, education and economic independence only can empower women. So give the solution to that. You are finding out the solution. You are suggesting that. So your suggestions or your solution that can be at the end. That can be in the concluding paragraph. Okay. So let's see some more examples of this. Education is in crisis at the moment. Transition from teacher class based teaching to digital education will need multi-pronged efforts over time. For parents, students, teachers, and institutions, investment and infrastructure are needed. Collect your thoughts on it. Write an article on Is Digital India Prepared for Digital Education? So they are given the title, so you need not worry. In 120 to 150 words. But remember that the title you write at the center, leave one line, then write the name of the person who is writing that. So this is how you should be. See, you can write at the end, but it is better to write just below the title on the right hand side. Okay, but here is Digital India prepared for digital education? If the title is given, you need not worry about that. If it is not given, you must write title for the article, and then you should write writer's name, which is also very important. Okay, now here you will find the more paragraphs than only three. Last article we have seen, there were only three paragraphs. But remember that even if there are a number of paragraphs, the first paragraph will be introductory paragraph and the last paragraph will be concluding paragraph. So let's see here, is Digital India prepared for digital education? Education is empowering and redefining. For hundreds of millions of the young in India, education is also about discipline, development, curiosity, creativity, and a path to breaking the cycle of ignorance and poverty leading to employment and prosperity. So, very striking paragraph. So, here education is empowering and redefining, and this paragraph is meant to attract the attention of the reader. And next paragraph, that it goes on elaborating, and those are the body paragraphs. So what is it about? As the government announced the new education policy 2020, I was heartened to see education at the forefront of the national agenda. So elaboration of that. Today, the growing aspirations of children and parents in India are reflected in an increasing demand for education, which has far exceeded the supply. The National Knowledge Commission (NKC) 2004 to 2009 brought the idea of educational transformation for 21st century needs into the mainstream thinking of the government with an emphasis on expansion, excellence, and equity. So remember that the kind of vocabulary you use that also will create impression on the evaluator. So next paragraph, again it's a body paragraph. The first paragraph we have seen, it's an introductory paragraph. Now, further elaboration of that same point. So, the COVID crisis has shown that hoping for the best does not help. We must plan for the worst and hope for the best. Our answer to the educational crisis during the pandemic has been to offer online education. Digital education is not about videos of lectures on blackboards by teachers on the internet. It is about appropriate platform, technology, tools, interactivity, curation, content, and a lot more. At the end of the day, education is about motivation, time, and content. If you are motivated and willing to spend the required time to learn, there's enough content by global experts on the internet. The challenge is curation and mentoring as opposed to listening to lectures by teachers in classes. you listen to lectures at home. Similarly, as opposed to doing homework at home, you do homework with others in the classrooms. All of this requires a new mindset and framework. And the last paragraph is going to be the concluding paragraph. In the past, we took two bold initiatives to help digital education in the future. NOFN, National Optical Fiber Network, now called Bharat Network, to connect all 250,000 panchayats at the cost of over rupees 40,000 crores. And the National Knowledge Network, it is time to use NOFN and NKN to connect all our schools and improve the digital education ecosystem. The transition from teacher class based teaching to digital education will need multi pronged efforts over time. So, we have seen the first question. There are four paragraphs. First paragraph is introductory paragraph, and the last paragraph is a concluding paragraph. And in between, we have two body paragraphs with this elaboration of whatever is there in the opening paragraph. So now let's move on to the next question. Question number 2. If you look at all the successful people in the world, whether they know it or not, they have that paradigm of service. When you shift the paradigm of whatever it is you choose to do service and you bring significance to that, success will, I promise you, follow you. Oprah Winfrey. Write an article on the importance of service in life in 120 to 150 words. You can use the following cues. So sometimes they'll give clues that you can make use of it. You must find a way to serve. Greatness is determined by service. People remember you for what you did. Surround yourself with people who share your vision. So let's move on to the next question now, third question. So we are just looking at kind of questions that will appear in the examination. Question number 3. Travel is an important part of man's education. It enables a person to learn manners, customs, languages, and history of different people and places. It also widens the circle of one's acquaintances. Write an article in 150 to 200 words on travel, an important source of education. You can use the cues enlisted below. To travel is to discover. Each time we travel, we see the world with new eyes. Travel opens our minds and heart and makes us better people. It opens us to new possibilities and changes our lives. So let's see some more questions for practice and how the questions appear. We have already seen two questions. So let's see some more questions. Write an article in about 200 words for your school magazine on films and their influence on school going children. Or you are Rohit, you attended a seminar on yoga, a way of life, write an article in about 150 to 200 words. So usually they will ask you to write in 150 to 200 words on the contribution of yoga in leading a healthy and peaceful life. So we'll go through some of the questions here. In today's world, letter writing has lost its charm. People and the youth in particular rely more on mobiles and computers to communicate. So here write an article on the present trend. Right. So next question is about what? You were elated. So you visited your ancestral home and you were very happy and strongly felt the necessity to hold on to the roots of our modern life, which lie in our villages. So the topics, just go through those topics, you'll get ideas. With rising number of people in almost all the cities of the country, the rate of crime has also increased proportionately. The police needs to be trained in new methodology of combating the crime besides changing the mindset. The invention of mobile phone, it can be a blessing, but if it misused, it can prove to be a curse. Then presently the prices of essential commodities are skyrocketing, causing much hardship to the common man. Then you have to write an article expressing your views and suggesting measures to curb this problem. It is really a do or die struggle when we talk about environmental concerns. So you see the kind of topics that we come across here, varied topics will be there. But when you're writing an article, what is very important is now here. Last one is about computer and video games have become popular with children today. Outdoor games seem to have no place in their life anymore. So go through all these questions. Remember the kind of questions that appear. And when you are writing an article, what is very much required? The title, then writer's name, and at least three paragraphs. First will be introductory paragraph, second will be body paragraph, and the last will be concluding paragraph. And in between the paragraphs, leave one line. Keep it in mind. Write well the article. Your expression is very important. Your presentation is also very important. Thank you. Goodbye.